you ever think about your life, like as a journey? Not just day after day, but a real path with its own twists and turns and amazing destinations? Well, today we're going to dive right into that idea, and we're using some incredible insights from a group of English language students to figure out what it really takes to have a successful journey, both at work and, in life. So, let's just start with the big one. How will your journey be? And this isn't just some random question. It's a real invitation. So take a second, really think about it. What path are you on right now, and where are you hoping it'll take you? You know, every great journey is really about moving forward, right? It's about climbing, reaching for something new. But this also reminds us of something super important. We almost never make that climb by ourselves. Sometimes we're the ones getting a hand up, and other times we're the one offering it. And that spirit of progress and helping each other out, that's exactly what we're going to explore today. Okay, so where does a journey like this even begin? Well, it all kicks off with one single, powerful idea: the decision to change. Let's dig into how our students tackled this first, absolutely crucial step. We've all heard that old saying, right? Practice makes perfect. But what if perfect isn't really what we think it is? Is it about being totally flawless, never, ever making a mistake? The students we followed, they came up with a way more powerful definition. And this is where they just completely flipped the whole idea on its head. Instead of seeing perfection as some static, flawless finish line, they saw it as a process, something that's always moving. One student, Carlos, called it continuous changing. Another, Jefferson, just nailed it. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. And just like that, perfection isn't some place you arrive at. It's the act of always getting better. And get this, it turns out they weren't the only ones thinking this way. A few students, like Anderson and Christina, actually brought up this famous quote from Winston Churchill. It just goes to show you that this amazing idea, that real growth comes from being willing to constantly adapt, it's kind of like a universal secret to success. So embracing change is the engine that drives our journey. But what about the people in the car with us? Because nobody travels that road all by themselves. Now let's talk about the travel companions who make the whole journey possible in the first place. The students started right here, with this really powerful thought. I mean, think about it for a second. Can you name one big thing you've accomplished completely on your own? It's almost impossible, right? Our successes are always shared stories, written with our parents, our mentors, our kids, our friends. Just take Ariane's story. She talks about her dad not just as someone who supported her, but as a real dedicated partner in her career. He was literally her navigator, driving her to interviews in a huge city before we had GPS on our phones. I mean, wow, that is some serious commitment. And, inspiration can flow the other way, too. Christina shared how her daughter's project to feed people in need makes her an important person. We can get so much strength just from admiring the good things that the people closest to us are doing in the world. And of course, sometimes help shows up right where we work. Jacqueline tells this amazing story about a colleague, Christiane, who did way more than just give her a few tips. She actively built Jacqueline up. She made her resume, coached her on interviews, and believed in her. These are the kinds of travel companions that make all the difference, for sure. All right, so we've got our mindset, we've got our companions, but what about the road we've already traveled? How do we learn from it? Okay, this next section is really cool. It takes something that you might find in a boring old grammar textbook and turns it into a powerful tool for looking back without any regret. Oh, it's so easy to look back and get totally stuck on what if, isn't it? But how do we make looking back actually productive instead of just, well, painful? It turns out the answer might be in the actual words we choose. The language we use to talk about the past can totally change how we feel about it. Okay, now don't let this table fool you. This isn't really a grammar lesson. It's more like an emotional toolkit for understanding the past. So look at that top row. When we feel regret, we tend to use should have, right? Like Jefferson saying, I shouldn't have watched TV. But now look at the middle. Could have isn't about regret at all. It's about seeing other possibilities. Christina uses it to see a different choice she could have made. And finally, must have isn't about feelings. It's about making a logical guess, like a detective. See what I mean? These aren't just grammar rules. They're tools for understanding ourselves. And right here, this is the key. This is the big takeaway. Using these tools to look back at the past, thinking about what you should have done or could have done, it's not about beating yourself up. Not at all. It's about gathering intel for the future. It's about learning from the path behind you to make better choices on the road ahead. So, we have our mindset, our companions, and a way to learn from our past. What's missing? A map. Let's jump into our final section, the simple, practical power of getting organized. Come on, we've all felt that sense of total chaos when we're juggling way too many things at once. A journey without any kind of plan can be so stressful. But as the student showed us, a simple map, just a clear plan, is the secret to bringing focus and calm back to your journey. Oh yeah, I think we can all relate to this picture. Trying to find one specific piece of paper in that mess would be an absolute nightmare. This is exactly what a journey feels like when you don't have a plan. It's overwhelming and you have no idea where to even start. But here's the good news. You don't need some super complex, color-coded, minute-by-minute spreadsheet to get your life in order. The solution can actually be beautifully simple, and it can turn that messy desk into a clear path forward. And this is what that simple map can look like. This is a weekly schedule that the students put together. And the magic here isn't in all the tiny details, it's in the balance. See how there's time for school and work, but there's also time for tennis, for friends, for family. There's even time to sleep in. This isn't about being rigid and controlling, it's about making sure the things that matter most to you actually have a space on your map. That's what makes the journey not just manageable, but actually enjoyable. So, we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about change, people, looking back, and planning ahead. Let's pull it all together as we think about the road that's waiting for us. So here it is, your own personal toolkit for the journey, inspired by these awesome students. First, the power of change. Don't just be ready to improve, actively look for ways to do it. Second, your travel companions. Lean on the people who help you, and don't forget to thank them. Third, learning from the path. Look back to learn, not to regret. And finally, your roadmap. An organized plan just makes the whole road easier to travel. And that brings us right back to where we started, with this idea of being perfect. But now we see it in a totally new light. Just like this note says, practice makes perfect. It's not about one giant leap. It's about all the small, consistent steps forward, the continuous effort, and the constant learning along the way. So, you've got the toolkit, you have the ideas for a map. The only question left is the one right there on the screen. Thinking about your own goals, your own path. What's the very first step you're going to take?